Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
And I love those compassionate responses that we give to our listeners. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is New Life Live. My name is Brian Perez, and we've got licensed professional clinical counselor Becky Brown here today. How are you, Becky?
Hey, Brian. Hey, Alice. I'm great. I'm glad to be here. Can't wait to talk to our callers.
That's right. Dr. Alice Benton is a clinical psychologist. And what's on your mind today, Alice?
The DMV, Brian. I had to go to the DMV to have my license renewed the other day, and of course prepared to sit there for hours in order to get it done. But afterwards, I was laughing with my husband about how I enjoy those 3 forced hours of waiting. So we were thinking about what an odd bodkins I am and why would I enjoy that? And I think it's because I'm a workaholic. And so if I have downtime, I have to put it to productive use. And the only time I slow down is when I'm forced to. So whether that's the DMV, a delay of an airplane at the airport, even sitting in traffic, sometimes I enjoy that downtime because I'm always on the go. So then why am I a workaholic? Well, it can be a combination. There's some ego in it, some pride, and some fear of scarcity, that I have to work all the time. Otherwise, something negative will happen, whether that's money, whether that's I'll lose a job, people might think poorly of me. And so the way that I feel so fueled and forced to be productive can obviously be problematic for my family. And this is true for all of us workaholics. My children tell me that they miss me and they wish I was around more. They wish I played with them more. And that tugs at my heartstrings. But I have to fight my anxiety in order to set work aside. So I figured out a couple of ways to do it as I've been asking God to help me with this area of my life. And I challenge you other workaholics out there or spouses of workaholics to bring these ideas up. I decided that because it's a trust issue, will God really provide for me if I'm not frantically working all the time? Well, the Old Testament requires multiple days of rest, not just the Sabbath. Although I'll admit, fully taking the Sabbath was a big leap of faith for me to not catch up, get work done. But then the other sort of holidays, something like over Easter, the Passover, there are 2 days to take off. The next one coming up will be the Feast of Trumpets. That's September 23rd. Because God ordained those feast days, I thought, well, I guess I can trust those. I'll start taking those off and see how it goes. Will the bad things in my head really happen if I take a day off here and there? And as I've practiced and built that trust with God and with myself and with my family, I found I've been able to enjoy my Sabbath. And I need it. My body desperately needs it. When I take the time to rest and sleep, I become rejuvenated and I love better. My family enjoys me more. And so if you're a workaholic, we invite you to call so that we can help you figure out what's fueling your workaholism. And when you consider the DMV to be the Department of Mini Vacations, like apparently I do, you know you're a workaholic with a problem. So give us a call because we can help you with it too.
The Department of Mini Vacations. I never thought of it that way. But
nobody thinks of it that way, but workaholics.
No, it's how you spin it. It's just great. Becky, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, it just reminds me of what we talk about all the time about that secure attachment, that sense of serenity that we get with recovery. And that's what you're talking about, Eric. In these moments, you're recognizing, Alice, that I need to sit with myself and it's okay. I am valuable, I am worthy, I am loved, even if I'm not producing something. And it's something we all could take a note from, that's for sure.
Yep. Our counselors and therapists are not just compassionate, they are very real. I love how you guys always just talk about the real things that you're going through and how you recovered through them, how you're learning the process as you go along, and then you're willing to share it with our listeners. So we're going to go to the phones when we come back. Ladia, Michelle, Steve, we're going to talk to you on New Life Live. Stand by.
Early on, looking at pornography that went into affairs, massage parlors, strip clubs with buddies. Before you know it, you're ashamed of that.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity, impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
My wife got a phone call, and she asked me who this person was, and man, how do I get myself out of this one?
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
When she said to me, I want you to look at this website named Every Man's Battle, she had me look, and I said, no, this is exactly where I need to be. This is exactly the problems I have, and I'm gonna go.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Denver, Colorado, June 6th through the 8th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Use the discount code NLL to save $50. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Let's go to D.C., as in Denver, Colorado. Here is Michelle, who's listening to us on Spotify. Welcome to the program. It's called New Life Live, and you're on with us today.
Hi, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for calling
I'm a little bit fangirling right now because it's the first time I've actually called in, and I've listened to you guys for so long.
Oh,
It says here you're a Club New Life member, too. We appreciate that.
Yes. And I share the podcast all the time with my friends. Like, you have to do this. It's free therapy. So,
Thank you, Michelle. You get Caller of the Day award, Gold Star all around.
and we're delighted to be talking with you too. What's going on? How can we help you?
Thank you. My question, I have so many questions, but this is the one I called in for, is I had a 23-year-old son who he has ADHD, and I would say pretty severe. I don't know if there's a spectrum on that, but and he has processing issues on top of that. So he's dealt with a lot of depression since he was like 11. Anyways, as an adult, he's 23. He lost his brother almost 6 years ago to suicide. And since then, at first we thought he was doing good. He had a really good friend group. He was talking a lot. And he does talk a lot, but he started drinking really heavily. And he lives outside the home. And he's also had about 8 major seizures since 2021. And so I say that because that affects it's a health issue, but it also, he's had head trauma for at least 6 of those. So my question is, how do I know when help is, good help?
Oh, gosh. Michelle, my heart goes to you.
Yeah. And I met you at the marriage thing, Becky.
Did we talk about this, Michelle?
We did.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to you about some other stuff too, but I think the hard thing is there's a difference between my husband and I. I kind of look at my son a little bit like if he had Down syndrome.
Right.
I kind of get this from a lot of people in my life, family members. Some say it to me, some don't, that I'm helping too much. But I say, well, if he was actually really had Down syndrome, nobody would be questioning me.
Right. That's
you
right.
know, but
I totally know.
If he walked into the room, he's amazing, and everybody would love him.
Yep.
And you would never know he had these issues.
Yep.
So my husband's okay with me helping him with medical stuff, taking him to the doctor, stuff like that. But I guess I even wrote into him last fall, wrote into you about him, and he did get into a 90-day sober living home. That was it. Great. I know he needed more than that, but with trying to deal with insurance and all that, it's so hard. And this opened up, and yeah.
And Michelle, is he sober now?
No.
Okay.
He left in January after 90 days, and he's not at the level he was at, but he also just got a job a few weeks ago, and so he hasn't had the resources, so I don't know if it's just because of resources. You know what I mean?
And
when you have the money.
Does he rely on you at all financially because his job is new?
No. When he got out, we said, my husband told him, he said, you can stay here as long as, to figure out what you're going to do next, as long as you can do it sober. And he said, well, I can't, or I don't want to do that. So he went and stayed with his brother, so that's where he's been.
So, Michelle, I'm trying to understand the beginning of the story, though. You lost another son to suicide?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was my other one that had ADD,
So the reason why I asked that, Michelle.
Terrified.
Yes, I know. I hear that. The trauma from losing your other son with very similar features, and then watching this son having really the struggle of his life because of, what capacity does he have in order to process grief? And he's young, so it's all of the things. And it's also, how do you get the support that you need, Michelle? So I know that he's been your focus. How can I get him the best help that he can possibly have? And then also balancing with your husband saying, don't do too much. It's very hard. And but do you have support just for you?
Well, I have a counselor, and I've been trying to find a group.
Okay.
It's been lonely.
Yes.
We've gone to a few different churches. So, my husband is a great support. He is, we do have a very, but, it's also hard because we don't see everything
Right.
the
Michelle,
same, so he hears it different.
your instinct that you need a group, I think, is spot on. And several different kinds
Well,
of...
I listen to you all the time.
And you don't just listen, you believe and you act. That's a different kind of listener, Michelle. There's a couple different groups that would fit for you, and I would suggest you try all of these. But first, I want to try to answer that question of how do you know if help is good? And I think you look for a couple of markers. What organization or type of group has the best track record for treating my particular problem? So if that's substance use, it's AA or NA or Al-Anon for the family member of a person struggling with substance use. If it's a mental health disorder like ADHD, then that might be NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness. If you're looking for particular brain help, then that might be Amen Clinics with their specialization in doing brain scans. If you're looking for help with that side of being the survivor of a suicide, there are really great groups because nobody can understand that like the other family member who has survived a suicide. It's such a unique pain. And so I think you should try all of the groups that I'm suggesting to find your home. And one might be your home group for a season. And then perhaps you pass to another one at a different season. And what we're looking for is not only track record, but also expertise, experience in treating this particular issue, and then the combination of grace, where you feel loved and safe, and truth, where you also get some push, some challenge from the other people in the group or the group leader, so that you see growth over time. That's how you know it's good help.
Michelle, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Does your son want help?
I mean, yes. And I would say yes and no. Like, yes, he's actually my most emotionally intelligent child, and understands and knows everything he probably should be doing.
Right.
And whether it's partly the depression and partly just, I mean, I didn't even understand the ADHD with my other son because neither of them have ever had behavioral issues. So I didn't even, and I homeschooled, so they weren't in the, it didn't show up as much, you know, when they were younger. It was just like they were being boys,
But you know, here's the other thing about this is the anxiety that, what's your son's name? Your 23-year-old?
Michael.
Okay. Michael is experiencing anxiety, which he cannot describe. This is where the ADHD or the ADD, the depression, all of this stuff. And then when you said he's the most emotionally available, it's all of the feelings that he has are so much that he's reaching to alcohol to fix the problem. Now we know that, you know, but that's his solution right now because it works for a while until it doesn't work. And, you know, but the fact that the reason why I asked if he was interested in getting help, it could be that he goes to AA. It could be that, you know, we get him connected. But the hard part, Michelle, is that you also need the help. It's just looking for good help is a lifelong journey. And like Alice just said, it may be that you go to one direction for a while and then you learn a bit more there and then you go to a different direction. The most important thing, though, is that connectivity with your son to help him thrive. And I know that's listen, Michelle, I have some of the same features that what you're dealing with. My son is older, doesn't have a drinking problem, but, you know, there's other problems. But the hard part from a mom's perspective is I could fix this. If I could just do X, Y, Z, right, Michelle? Isn't that what you're like? I gotta save him. And then combined with the loss of your other son, it's terrifying. And so you have to have the support for you in order for you to be able to help Michael.
And Michelle, when we have a child who knows what to do.
I wish I could hug her. I hear you crying, Michelle, and I wish I could hug you.
You're so worried for your son, and you don't want him to choose what his brother chose. You want to save his life, and that's what you're afraid for. When you say your son knows what he needs to do, but is not totally willing to do it, it sadly probably means he's not at the level of pain yet that would motivate him to choose the good he knows to do. And so as a parent, allowing the crisis to build and happen is terrifying because the crisis for your other son meant the end. It meant suicide. And if you think of your son as having something like Down syndrome, it can also move you into thinking, well, he's not capable of doing these things for himself, so I think I should do it for him. So there probably is a little bit of tough truth in what your husband said, that you're compelled to do more for your son because you don't know where the line is. What is he capable of doing on his own and what isn't he? And what do I need to do to save his life, safeguard his life? So there are a couple of principles that can help us when a family member isn't ready yet to get help. We can just simply request that they get help. Shockingly, sometimes that works. Like we may think that he knows I want him to get help, but I haven't asked him. But I bet you already have. We can model getting help ourselves. That modeling goes a long way, usually a lot further than the request goes. We can leverage. If he wants something from you, you can say, well, I would be willing to give that to you, do that for you, help you in that way if you go to a group with me. And we can bribe. I'll pay you to go to a group. I'll pay you to get a brain scan from Amen. What do you want me to do? I'll do something for you. And keep it moral, keep it legal and ethical, but bribery sometimes work. And it's not really bribery. It's motivating. Right. It's finding what motivates him to choose the good thing. But that, going back, the hardest thing is allowing his pain to grow so that he chooses it for himself. But I sure would try all these other ways if I were his mom.
Yeah.
What do you think, Michelle?
Well, I think, it's funny because I tell my friends, you just listen because they say stuff to all these people about all this stuff, and you're not going through the same thing, but you can glean all this stuff. And I think the thing I heard most was modeling and getting help, which I've been doing, and I've been talking to him about it because I've had my own struggles with numbing pain,
Mm-hmm.
and
Michelle, that humility in what you just said, I sure hope you have said that to your son and will say it again. Son, I have my own struggles with numbing pain. This is how I do it. I online shop too much. I overexercise. I'm a workaholic. Whatever your numbing, your unhealthy, overboard numbing is, tell him and then let him know, I'm going to try this new group to strengthen me against my old default numbing habit. Son, would you join me?
Yeah.
Becky, do you have a recommendation from the New Life store?
Understanding and loving your child with ADHD.
Good.
It won't have all of the specifics that you have, what you're talking about, Michelle, but it will give you a focus, I think. But we're praying for you.
Yeah.
And stay in touch. We'll get you connected with somebody if you, well, you said you were working with somebody, but even some of the groups, we've got great resources. And I know that there's hope for Michael.
Yes, there is. Michelle, thanks for calling in today. Steve, you're next here on New Life Live.
We've been married 33 years. We attended the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. Even though we've read books or attended a few other marriage weekends, this was certainly different and a lot more intensive than initially that we thought.
When you come to Intimacy and Marriage, you're going to be immersed into a 3-day process.
Was not really sure exactly what to expect, but the idea of learning to really understand intimacy was intriguing. We had been in the same patterns of struggle over and over again.
If you've thought, I don't think we can ever change, we're just in this rut and we can't get out, the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop can help you get out of the rut.
The Intimacy and Marriage Weekend is July 25th to the 27th in Washington, D.C. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
I would highly recommend it.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
So we have a note that was sent in to us from somebody who is a new contributor to New Life Live. This person says, how many other Christian radio programs actually help people live the Christian life? I listen as often as possible, but I've been a freeloader. That's what this person said. Using other people's contributions to fund my knowledge and pleasure. But I'm not anymore. I gave for the first time yesterday. That is so awesome. Now, Becky Brown, president of New Life Ministries, what would you say to people who maybe they're longtime listeners, but they've never given for whatever reason? We understand not everybody can make a contribution, but what do you say to the people who listen all the time and haven't contributed?
Well, first of all, I forgive you, and there's still time. But just like this letter writer said, you know, I'm sure they feel better now that they've given a donation. Many times what happens is that people think that they're supporting the ministry because they're listening, which is great. Sharing with other people is great. But money makes ministry happen. God works through your giving, through your generosity. And on times like this, when we have a matching gift campaign where we're trying to get to that $500,000 seed, we can use every dollar. And it could be the very next step for you to be able to provide ministry where not only are we helping people grow in their faith, which is very important, but we're helping them in life's hardest places. Whether it is a parenting issue, grief, depression, anxiety, life is really challenging for most of us. And we want to be able to continue to be there for whatever question you have and to give you the resource to make a difference in your life. And we want to say thank you in advance for your donations to New Life. It makes a difference in the lives of so many people.
As a listener, when I realized that New Life was my therapy, because I couldn't afford a therapist, it took quite a while for me to realize, I'm also freeloading here. And I want to give back because New Life is changing me and changing my life. Literally, my family likes me better because of New Life in my life, because it helped teach me how to do relationship, communication, life, relationship with God better. So I greatly appreciate what that New Life contributor now has done and said.
Yeah, the producing of the radio programs and the podcasts and everything that we do, it does cost money. Even the airtime on the radio station you might be listening to is all supported by you. So if you have benefited from what you hear here on New Life Live, we'd love for you to help us right now during this time when we're having a matching gift of up to $500,000. We're trying to reach that goal by the end of this month, May 31st. So help us do that by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com or text the word match to 28950. Now we're going to go back to the phones. Let's go to Green Bay, Wisconsin. Here is Steve, who's listening to us on Sirius XM, channel 131. Hi there, Steve. Thanks for calling in today.
Hi, and thanks for taking my call today. So I've been dealing with chronic insomnia for the last 5 years. And 2 years ago, I was also diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease and some other co-infections. Lately, in the last probably 6-7 months, the insomnia has gotten much worse. I'm having these early morning awakenings around 2 a.m., and then I can't get back to sleep the rest of the evening. I have done 2 rounds of CBTI a few years ago. I did transcranial magnetic stimulation, did biofeedback, and nothing just seems to work. And I lost my dad a couple of years ago. He was 94. He had a great life and everything. He didn't suffer, but I never really grieved. I don't think after that. I don't remember ever really shedding a tear. And I loved my dad greatly, and that kind of bothered me a little bit. But I just can't seem to find out what the root cause of the insomnia is, and it's making it really difficult to function.
Steve, have you ever had any blood work done, like, full health examination?
Yeah, I'm currently seeing a Lyme specialist, and he has been extremely thorough, drawing all kinds of blood work and everything for the Lyme and the other stuff. I've lost probably in the last several months. I seem to be losing weight,
right?
But I'm just eating really healthy.
Well, but have you had, have you been tested for diabetes?
I was diagnosed a year or so ago as pre-diabetic, but then lately when they do the blood work for that, they said it's in the normal range and everything.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because, yes, there can be psychosomatic, you can have your body and your mind being impacted, and then the longer that you go with this insomnia, it is a cycle that's created. But the reason why I asked about diabetes is because we know that you can have your wake cycle, your sleep cycle be interrupted by low blood sugars in the middle of the night, as well as a drop in hormone levels. And so I'm glad that you're, and Lyme disease is a whole different, thing, but I just wanted to make sure that you were checking all areas of your life, because it can be a health issue that is, not as obvious as Lyme disease, but, and then of course we'll talk after the break about the psychotic part of it, which can feel like that, right? When you can't sleep, it is so destructive. You feel you're on edge. And I'm glad you've taken some steps towards that, but we'll give you some insight after we take the break.
And Steve, over the break, please be thinking about what other emotional stressors have been going on in your life starting 5 years ago, in addition to the loss of your dad.
Okay, we'll come back to you in just a moment, Steve. Thank you for calling in today to New Life Live. 1-800-NEW-LIFE is the number to call to find out all about us. You can also go to our website, newlife.com, and follow us on social media. We're there on all the major platforms.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
And let's go back to Green Bay, Wisconsin. Steve, you still with us?
I am. Thank you.
Thanks for holding through the break. So Alice asked you a question right before we went to the break. And what was that question, Alice?
Well, we really want to delve into the emotional side. And so would you talk to us about emotional, relational stressors in the last 5 years, Steve?
Yeah, so probably 5 years ago, right at the beginning of the insomnia, around that time, I had a scare of like pancreatic cancer, but it didn't. It turned out to be benign spots. They found some spots in my pancreas. That probably was the first trigger. Then I was downsized from a job around COVID time, just pre-COVID, and then after COVID, I developed long COVID. And then both my parents were elderly. They both went into the hospital with COVID, as did one of my wife's dad also. At the same time, we had three of our parents in the hospital. And then we had to find assisted living for all of them as soon as they got out of the hospital. And then we had to go through and my parents' condo and clean that out, sell that, and then also my in-laws' home. So it's been major stress, yeah.
Man.
And Steve, have you withdrawn from friends and family because you've been going through so much?
It's funny you should say that because my wife has told me, she said, you can't withdraw. You've got to stay social. And yeah, I've pretty much isolated. I'm trying not to, but I just don't. Between the Lyme and the insomnia, I'm just not finding the energy, and I'm trying to force myself. We go out on a 1.5 mile walk every day just to get the exercise and stuff, but I have totally withdrawn from. I'm staying in touch with some of my Christian brothers and stuff and that by phone, but yeah, I'm having a hard time getting back into the social end of it.
And Steve, when you first started to say that, and you said your wife is pointing it out, there was a tenderness in your voice. Can you name that emotion you were feeling just a moment ago?
My wife really cares about me, and she wants the best. This has really been hard for both of us, and she's having a hard time seeing me struggle. She said she just wants to see me well, and we've been praying, asking the Lord for a reason, but we know that, He's using this for His glory. And so we're just trusting in Him.
And Steve, are you sort of a pull yourself up by your bootstraps, push on through, maybe a little stoic because you're just good at working hard and getting through tough stuff?
I think I've always been hard on myself, and it goes back to some early childhood. My mom had severe depression when I was really young, and I think I've never really went and sought help for that, but I always kind of wonder if there's something looming in the background on that, but I don't know. But yeah, I think I've been hard on myself through all this. I've been trying to say, you're going to get through this, but I'm just not cutting myself a break here.
And what's the story that you're telling yourself about that, Steve? When you say, I'm not cutting myself a break, where did that start? Where's that voice coming from?
I think I've always been kind of sort of a perfectionist.
Okay.
And
so, well, let me introduce something because I don't want to lose time. I know that you've done everything that you know to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you allow somebody else besides your wife to really know this part of you, Steve?
Yeah. Our pastors, I've shared all of this with them. They've come out to our house and prayed over us, and
okay.
I've also got some friends that I've shared this with too.
Okay, that's very good. Are you, I get it, when you say that you're tired, are you going to church? Like, is that part of your practice, or you're just staying in touch with the church family?
No, I've tried to go every week. I'm like this last Sunday we were there.
Okay, that's good. That's very good. It's hard to overcome everything that you've had. Mm-hmm. You're dealing with Lyme disease. You've got this insomnia. You've had a lot. When you started talking about the past 5 years, my first thought was the pandemic sent a lot of people into a direction that they never thought they were going to go. Mm-hmm. And everything from your job to and so you've reached out to do therapeutic work. Do you have a counselor presently that you're working with?
I don't. I just reached out to one yesterday. I actually reached out through your network, and there's no one around here that's a Christian counselor. That really, well, I shouldn't say that. There aren't good ones around here. I've made a few attempts, but I think I may have found someone that could be a resource.
Okay. All right. And I know our team will help you with that as well. But, I just said to Alice at the break, it's very hard to find good help, but it's worth continuing that pursuit, Steve. And I know that that'll be a big part of your healing journey.
Steve, I'm going to praise your strengths, and then I'm going to challenge you. I think you're a man of strong intellect and faith. You tough it out. You work hard. And you have the humility to seek spiritual answers. And all of those things combine to form part of just the really great man that you are. And I sincerely mean that because I can hear it in the way you speak. And because those are your strengths, I think you stay in that version of yourself. There's also a tender man in there, and your wife is able to touch that spot. And I think you reveal it sometimes, but not a whole lot, and you don't linger there. Because you got so good at being tough and living with a mom with severe depression, I think being emotional must seem unsafe because it can spiral into paralyzed depression, and you certainly don't want to go that way. But being able to stay in touch with your emotions long enough to let them come to the surface and share them with safe people, that's one of God's strongest forms to help us heal from the trauma that we have experienced. And so you do such fabulous things to get help. You know you need help. You've tried out a variety of modalities. What I want you to do now is with your wife and with those good Christian men and your new therapist is let them know, I don't stay in touch with my emotions well enough. So I want to see other people do it. and I want to practice it myself. And when that tenderness comes up, I had to learn this myself, Steve, because I have some similarities to you, and I don't want to be weak and blubbery. And I want to be tough. I don't want to cry. So when I had to learn, when that tenderness is coming up, it means some of my pain wants to be released from my body and soul. And so letting tears come to the surface with someone who loves me in my presence is how God can heal that hurt down inside. And when I push past it and I stay intellectual and tough and let's find out what God wants me to do right now, I sure feel in control, but I'm actually unintentionally cutting off one of God's sources of healing. So get in touch with that tender place and share that with people you feel safe with. And a couple of ways that you can access it more is through a treatment called EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And it just helps you get to a more subconscious level of how trauma has affected you, what you believe about yourself, and emotions that got stuck because you just had to move on. The trauma about your mom is certainly something to talk about and let yourself feel some of those little boy emotions that you felt seeing your mom and not being able to fix what she was going through. Becky mentioned hormones, and to my surprise, I have learned how much balancing hormones can help with sleep. Progesterone for men and women is a factor in sleep, and if we don't have enough of it, we don't sleep as well. And then I've had to humble myself to receive medication help with sleep at times. I don't want to become dependent on a sleep medication. And a tough guy like you, I bet you don't want to either. But for seasons, it has really helped me to have a psychiatrist or a doctor prescribe a medication that will stop my brain from working on all my worries and problems and help me to sleep the full hours that I need it.
Well, and Alice, I was thinking that. I wrote that down. Steve, have you tried any medical intervention at all?
Yeah, it's a good point. I've been seeing a sleep specialist for the last year, and he put me on 30 milligrams of temazepam, which now I am weaning down on because my Lyme specialist said that was way too much. So here's something to suggest, and I say this to people: if you've been with him for a year, it's okay for you to say it's not working, and we need to do another thing. But the medication can help with the depression. It can help with the anxiety, because what's happening is this perpetual motion. And like Alice just said, we've got to disrupt the cycle. And sometimes it's just a little disruption. It doesn't mean everything has to change. It just means we've got to address what's happening in the brain that is keeping you up. And now you're in this rhythm. And, if you've been with a sleep specialist for a year and it's still happening, you got to challenge that, not because they're not doing their best they can, but you just don't want to keep doing the same thing, expecting different results.
Steve, we appreciate you calling us today on New Life Live and sharing your story. And I'm sure there's other people listening and watching right now who are going through the same thing. And now they're going to call in and try to get help. And we sure do appreciate that here on New Life Live. We'll be back.
Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Steve, thanks for calling in today to New Life Live. We're going to send you a copy of How People Grow. That is available on the newlife.com store. And we're going to send you a copy. We'll get your address and everything and then mail it out to you.
Can the New Life family be praying for Steve, too?
For sure.
It is such a nightmare to not be able to sleep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 1-800-NEW-LIFE is our number. Newlife.com is our website. And if you go to newlife.com/radio, you'll see other ways that you can submit your question to us if you're unable to call in when we're here. And here is one of those questions. It's from Susie, who wrote in, why do I have a hard time with intimacy? I think I've always had a hard time with intimacy, says Susie. I've never really liked touch. And if I was touched, I would get uncomfortable or have a hard time receiving. So in marriage, you can imagine this is not good. It does cause problems. I also have a hard time touching my husband. I keep thinking maybe something happened. I just don't recall anything major. If this will help, I know I definitely have an conflict avoidant personality. So what do you guys tell Susie?
Well, I mean, she's on the right path of something may have happened, but also it's what did you learn about intimacy? And did you learn about how to connect with somebody? And so there's a couple of things here. You could be talking about physical intimacy, which she alludes to when she says, I don't really like to be touched. But physical intimacy should be, I hate to use the word should, preceded by intimacy in the relationship. So we often will say intimacy means into me see, in a safe connection with your spouse where you feel trusted, you feel that you can trust them. It's a safe space. There's mutual affection for one another, and I just think that there's a pathway there. If you're married, obviously at some point you felt connected. But then there's that question, has something happened in the marriage where trust has been broken? In any way, it doesn't necessarily have to be an affair. It can be, financial or just, the disconnect. But intimacy is a powerful thing in a relationship. But if there's been any kind of abuse or victimization that has been unaddressed and unknown, that could very well be the problem, but it also could be that you just don't know how to do that, don't know how to connect.
Alice?
I am redheaded-ish and fair-skinned, and I easily get burned in the summer. And when I'm burned, I don't want anybody touching me. And so this idea that you, Susie, are wondering about, and Becky's pointing to as well, if there is pain, we want to avoid getting really close to people. And so prayerfully looking back, asking the Holy Spirit to reveal how you were emotionally injured, perhaps physically injured in your life that might lead to or fuel some of your avoidance in relationship. It's a great exploration. And we talk about EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy, which helps us access some of our subconscious feelings and beliefs and even experiences that we might have tucked away in the recesses of our memory. And so that's a good modality to use to get below the surface. I can actually relate to you, though, Susie. I'm an avoider as well. And I'm also just a very busy person. And touch requires us to slow down, even if it's only for a few seconds. And Susie, I can feel like I don't have a few seconds. Don't touch me. I've got things to do. Dishes, work, taxes. I mean, the list just goes on. And so I don't want to slow down long enough to touch and be touched. So, Susie, I've also had to explore my own anxiety that keeps me so hurried. And I have to learn the value of slowing down to get connected to my loved ones. When I heard that the bonding hormone oxytocin is released when you hug for an extended period, about to the 20-second mark and beyond, I thought, ugh, okay, I'll try that. 20 seconds felt like an eternity.
That does sound like a long time.
It is a long time, but I chose to linger because I wanted to experience the benefits for myself, but I also wanted my family to feel those benefits. I couldn't believe how hard it was for me to do that. So there are probably a lot of complicating factors in your life as well that make it hard for you to be touched. So don't give up. Keep exploring, because if we ask God, I need to be sanctified in this area. I don't think it's good for me not to want to touch my husband and be touched by him. Show me what's going on here. Show me my obstacles and help me work through them. But God doesn't often answer in a voice from the sky, as you know. He answers through people. And so being willing to explore it with your husband, with your parents, if they're safe enough to do that, and to ask them some questions, and with a counselor and a group. That's the format. Get information from safe people who love you to help figure out the why. There's always an answer to the why, because life makes sense. There's a reason why. We just have to look long enough to find it. And then when we find the why, we find the solution usually.
And Alice, I love that practice thing, but I also want to encourage Susie that you have to start somewhere. So it could be that when your husband comes home, or if you come home, that you go to him and you initiate, hello, honey, and you can start with a quick hug. And then the next time you can work up to 20 seconds. But you could also sit by each other on the sofa, or you can hold hands. It's funny because when we've counseled couples who have gotten so far apart in their intimate life, they think that, they're going to go all the way back to having sexual intercourse from not having, and it's like, no, we gotta rebuild the physical connection. We gotta create the safety that it doesn't feel awkward, like you're saying, Alice, for a 20-second hug. And also, it's such a powerful mirror neuron experience where your breath gets in sync with your spouse. But also, I think it's the Gottmans that talk about the 6-second kiss. I think that's from the Gottmans, and how powerful that is. And so, one step at a time, make it, don't go straight to the 20-second hug that might make you freak out, like what Alice was talking about. It doesn't make me freak out, but I just think it's funny, to address it, though. But I love that she's asking this question. This is not uncommon. People get into rhythms and routines, and before you know it, you are a roommate and not a partner for life. And we want to help you with that. Of course, I would tell Susie, you guys need to go to Intimacy and Marriage, because we talk about stuff like that at that intensive. We actually show couples how to have non-sexual physical touch and how powerful that is and healing that is in a marriage.
I love, too, that you guys have said that the word intimacy is saying, basically, let's break it down, into me, see. See into me. And yes, Susie and all of our other married couples, even engaged couples, you should really sign up for this Intimacy and Marriage Intensive. It's happening the weekend of July 25th in Washington, D.C. So you've got lots of time to prepare, to call in, to register. You can do it by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE or by going to newlife.com. We've also got a couple of other intensives going on. The Every Man's Battle Intensive is happening in Denver, Colorado, the weekend of June 6th. That is for men who are tired of this addiction that they have with pornography, or who are constantly, maybe, or in the past have cheated on their wives, and they're trying to get past all that, and they can recover. And the Every Man's Battle Intensive is a great place to do that. You can get details at newlife.com. We've also got the Restore Healing After Betrayal Intensive. That is for women. And the next one is happening November 7th in Washington, D.C. Again, go to newlife.com to find out about all of these, to register for them, to let your friends and family know about them too. Maybe you're okay in some of these issues, but you know someone who's struggling. Let them know. Start at newlife.com. Send them the link. You can also find out information about life recovery groups there at newlife.com. There is so much that we do, and that's why right now is a great time for you to support us financially. Go to newlife.com to take advantage of the $500,000 matching gift. We're trying to reach that goal by the end of the month. God bless you guys. We'll see you at church this Sunday.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again on Monday for New Life Live.